Now, we're going to bring someone up right now that is an extraordinary amount of fun. The passion is undeniable. I've had an opportunity to watch Gary a few times. And for those who have not experienced the tornado that is Gary Vaynerchuk, it's a special, special thing. Gary's background, he and his family are in the wine business. But Gary has become a powerhouse online and in social media. Very early on, he saw the potential. And through his taking his family business online, he was able to take that from a $3 million to a $45 million a year wine business. But he now has done so successfully in this new age where it's about information distribution, it's about information reach, that some of the biggest companies in the world have asked him to come in and share his thoughts about how to take that message and what all of you would want to do, that message that is so important to you, that message that you have that passion, that feel for, and how to get out there as far and as wide as you possibly can. One thing I will share with you, this is about to be an extraordinary experience if you've not experienced it before. You need to be able to listen quickly because Gary doesn't speak slowly. The magic is in his 30 minutes, he's going to give you at least 2 hours of the most extraordinary information you've ever heard. And the one thing I love about Gary Vaynerchuk, you never have to wonder what he's thinking. You never have to be curious about what he does not believe, feel, or think, because he will hit you right between the eyes with it. Ladies and gentlemen, in the way we do it at this family of network marketing pros, please get on your feet and welcome to the stage, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. They're all yours.
I asked for 4 hours. They only gave me 30 minutes, so if you sit quicker, I can get more in. First of all, I want to really thank Eric and his team. I really appreciate being here. I had a book come out last week, so I've been a little bit on a whirlwind tour. I haven't really slept much, so I'm going to take it out on you guys. Let me start with this, because I think I'm going to go in a lot of directions, and I want to set the context. And I have a feeling a lot of people in this room actually don't know who I am. Actually, let's start with that. How many people in this room have no idea who I am or not a lot about me? That hurts. Tough start. But I figured that to be the case. Even though I have over 1 million Twitter followers and have done all this stuff and have been on countless TV and all that stuff, I'm very aware about where the world is. And actually what just happened here is what I want to talk to you about, which is we are living in a very noisy world, right? I mean, when you think about how many people here watch television with at least one other screen besides them, a phone, a laptop, an iPad, raise your hands, don't lie. How many people here watch television with 2 other screens, a phone and an iPad or laptop, raise your hands? Just to give you context, that's over 50% of the room. So the brands that I work with, the Doves, the Mountain Dews, the General Electrics, these Fortune 500s are spending billions of dollars a year trying to tell you a story, and you're not paying attention anymore. And so what I want to talk to you guys about in my limited time today here is recognizing that most of you don't know who I am. I want to leave you with the context of why I've been able to achieve what I've been able to do, which is storytelling and providing value up front. And that's really what matters. And I think at some level, if you're here, you've got some understanding of one or the other. And for the people that are growing the most, probably an understanding of both. But at the end of the day, all the value in the world, the way everything sells, from Apple to Nike to what you do to what I do, my book, selling wine, information products, whatever you do, the one thing that every person here is bound by is if you do not tell your story to the end consumer that you're targeting, whether you're B2B or B2C, in a network group or what have you, if you do not tell your story in the path of them making a decision, then you will not convert, period. Now, what's most interesting to me and what I care about is where are people actually spending their time? And when I say time, actually what I really mean is attention. What all I care about is you paying attention. See, this is a great gig. I've got all of yours attention. But 10 years ago, this was a better gig because inevitably, if I'm not interesting, you're going to be in your phone. And so that is what's happening. And so what I want to figure out and really set the context for in this room is we are living through the biggest culture shift of our time. And I'm not talking about Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, or Vine. How many people here have no idea what Vine is? Raise your hands. Exactly. Yet, 45 million users in 6 months, a whole lot of them of the nice gentleman that was up here before me, and that generation that I think he's absolutely right, that a lot of people in this room are grossly underestimating. And more importantly, we are living through the youthification of our society. Let me explain. I want to ask a question, and I want you to raise your hand to the question, and I don't want you to half-ass your hand. And remember that lying is the devil. All right? How many people in this room 6 or 7 years ago said to themselves or another person, a friend, I'm never gonna get a Facebook account, I'm never gonna be on Facebook? Raise your hands. Just curious, of everybody who just raised their hands, how many of you are now on Facebook? Raise your hands. By the way, one day I will buy the New York Jets. It's gonna cost me $2 billion, and the reason I'm going to is because the #1 gift I have, and by the way, I suck at 99% of things in the world, but the one thing I've got, the reason I'm able to be up here, the reason I was able to build a $60 million wine business in 5 years, the reason I've started a social media agency from 20 to 300 people in the last 24 months, the only thing I've got is what I just did. I'm really good at knowing what you're gonna do that you say you're not gonna do. And that's where I spend all my energy. And why this matters is this, my friends. A lot of people here are competing for the same thing. A lot of people here, when I mean not just this room, I mean this world. At the end of the day, everybody's competing for $1, and it can go in many different directions. So you have to have an advantage. And the biggest advantage going on right now is the fact that people's attention is shifting. And I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna hurt feelings right now. 99% of the people in this room are spending good time and dollars on things that are quickly diminishing on that return. Let me tell you the biggest problem going on in the world right now. The only agenda I have with the next 24 minutes and 13 seconds is to make sure that the people in this room actually market and operate like the year that we actually live in. And I mean that. And by the way, I mean that, and listen, I'm not confused. There's plenty of people doing well. This is not about doing well. This is about doing as well as you can, right? It's not, this is about leaving opportunity on the tables. The opportunity to storytell and build a community and then convert that community. So my new book is called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? I'm gonna give you such a huge hug. Thank you. What it stands for, what my new book's about is mainly putting out content on social networks. How do you actually put out pictures, videos, infographics, words that actually convert actual business in social media? How do you really get conversion on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram? But the funny part is the Jab, 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 Right Hook stands for give, 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 and then ask. I audited an enormous amount of MLM, network marketing, direct sell companies on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Many of the companies that you guys are involved with, many of the individuals involved and people in your networks. And I looked at these platforms across the board and looked at the individuals and how they were working it. And here's what I can tell you. And by the way, the good news is it's not just a problem in this industry. It's a problem, period. That 99% of the people are struggling with social network marketing because they don't know what they're doing in it. See, we don't have a problem with the tool. We have a problem with the mechanics. Do you know what the ROI of a basketball is to me? 0. You know what the ROI of a basketball is to LeBron James? A crap load. You know what the ROI of a piano is to me? Billy Joel, Elton John? A lot. I am watching a generation of people in front of me here decide that social media doesn't convert and doesn't have an ROI when they have no idea how to use it. The amount of people that tell me what you can and can't do on Instagram for business without actually having it on their phone makes me throw up on myself. When something like Instagram goes from 0 to 200 million users in 24 months, and we have 300 million users in the US, I would like to say it's something you should at least consider as a business opportunity. Listen, this is my life. This is what's always happened. Do you know why the wine library grew so quickly? Because in 1996, when I launched an e-commerce site, this is what happened. Let's do the lying is the devil. By show of hands, how many people in 1993, 4, 5, 6 remember this feeling? How many people said to themselves or somebody else back in the mid-90s, I'm not putting a credit card into a computer? Who remembers being fearful of putting a credit card into a computer? Don't lie, raise it high. It's about 80% of this audience. By the way, this is about 10 years ago, just for context, 15 years ago. How many of those people that just raised their hands, just curious, how many of you put a credit card now into a computer? Over and over and over again. I don't have bravado up here because I think I'm right. I have bravado because this is historical. People laughed at me when I started an email newsletter in 1997 because they didn't even have an email yet, right? They didn't have an email, so they're like, that's not gonna work. And it's the same game over and over and over and over and over again. And another thing becomes interesting. You guys are spending a lot of money trying to storytell whether you're recruiting people into your world or the end consumer through traditional platforms that are more expensive to reach the same, not the same, less of the audience. Newspaper and magazine ads cost more today than they did 10 years ago, even though people are consuming it dramatically less. And so what I want to implore, listen, I looked at the lineup of every other speaker. You guys know this world. I am truly an outsider. I respect that. And I would never have the audacity to tell you I know what this, that, but I pay attention. And I've got a general understanding. And I can promise you right now, no matter what you do in this world, if you don't have the eyes or the ears of the consumer or who you're trying to target, you're in trouble. And so what I implore you to do is stop poo-pooing these new platforms, stop throwing them on your 22-year-old intern, and start understanding that the amount of hours that are being spent by the people that you're trying to reach in front of their cell phone, going like this through their Instagram and Facebook account, is increasing by the second. And if you do not figure out how to storytell in those platforms for them, you will become irrelevant. And if you don't believe me, read the history books of all the great companies that dominated radio advertising and did not understand how to shift to television. Or all the people that you know that have been in this business when it was easy in the back of a magazine, but when this internet thing came along, they didn't adjust to the reality of it, and different people won, right? So nobody should be confused that innovation happens. And what really pisses me off, actually, is that you are doing this in your everyday habits, but you're not applying it to your business, right? Who here can't wait to go home? Thank you for that. I like you guys over here. You've been clapping more for me. I'm gonna start talking to you guys. Who here can't wait to go home after this weekend in Vegas and go home and carefully go through their direct mail? Multi-billion-dollar industry of us sending direct mail trying to convert people. Who here can't wait to later tonight go to the room, open their laptop, and start clicking on banner ads? Who's into it? And so, $15 billion industry where 0.01 conversion is considered successful. Are you kidding me? And so, what I'm asking you to do is take the future seriously, because the future, ironically, is here. And so that's what I want to talk about, the debate of how you're spending your time. I promise that if you audit everything you do and everything you spend money on and cut the bottom 10% of the dumb crap that's not bringing you value anymore, because you happen to always be part of this networking group or the Chamber of Commerce, or you always went to that event, or you always advertised here. If you actually audited it and didn't accept it because it's tradition, and you actually looked at it, and you took that 10 to 15%, and you took those dollars and people and energy, and you applied it to this new platform of storytelling, which is social networks, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Listen, you know what my favorite is? You know what really gets me angry? And there's plenty of people in this room. Well, I don't use it. I don't give a crap. It doesn't matter if you use it. 450 million active users a day use Facebook. And don't even start telling me, well, my people aren't on it. That's my favorite excuse, right? Well, I'm targeting 40 to 50 to 60-year-olds. 40 to 70-year-olds are the highest growth category for Facebook usage in the last 6 months. Because if grandma wants to see her grandkids, she needs to be on Facebook. So, the only thing I'm interested in doing here in my last 16 minutes and 14 seconds, can you tell I wanted more time, Eric? The only thing I want to do is create enough energy in this room for you to at least debate, starting the process, at least educating yourself just a little bit, because if you don't, I'm telling you right now, you think a lot's happened in the last 5 years? Wait till you see the next 5. Anybody watch 60 Minutes with Amazon with the drones and dropping crap on your house? How many people here are familiar with Uber, the phone app? How many people are not familiar with Uber? Right, Uber, iPhone app that you just hit a button and a black car service picks you up wherever you are. It's not in every market, but in a lot of the major markets, and it's disrupting the world. All the taxi companies are paying their lobbyists and politicians now to keep it out because everybody in New York City and San Francisco and LA and Chicago is using Uber because it's convenience. Do you know the one thing that every person here likes more than anything? Time. Time is I've been saying for a long time, my big battle about social networks in 2006, 7, and 8, if I was up here, the thing you'd be thinking about and the thing that some of you are thinking about now is privacy. That was a big conversation. What about privacy? And I would always say privacy is dead. We actually don't care about privacy. Believe it or not, collectively, based on our actions, we do not care about privacy. Oh, by the way, I've been proven to be right. Because in the last 3-4 months, we've just lived through the biggest privacy issue of all time. Everybody here is being watched at every moment. You know it, and you don't give a crap. You know why? Convenience. Time is what matters to you. You care about speed and efficiency. My friends at Blockbuster didn't listen to me. They decided Netflix wasn't a big deal. They said their data showed that people liked going to the movie store, the video store, that it was part, this is my favorite, of the experience. You know, like doing things inside a house in a group, it's part of the experience, visiting, right? Part of the experience. Guess what? You know what experience we like? Laying in our underpants and hitting a button and watching the movie we want to watch. And so now, I tweeted when I saw the Amazon report, I said, Walmart, you better pay attention. And a bunch of people jumped in and said, no, you're wrong, Gary. Walmart is right around everybody. I'm like, you can drive there in 17 minutes. I'm like, you don't understand. We care about 17 minutes. I'm gonna order it and let it come. I need that 17 minutes. I don't wanna drive. I need that. We are living in a 24-hour world, right? Guys, do you remember when it was 7 or 8 or 6 p.m. and you actually were able to pivot to the other part of your life and family and other things? Remember that world? That world's gone. I get an email from a client or from an employee or from an associate at 9:47 p.m. She expects me to reply. We're living in a 24/7 ADD culture where if you do not adjust to the speed of the world we're in, you will lose. It's like sports. You know what disrupts sports? Speed. When an athlete comes along that's faster, it changes the game and everybody has to adjust. If you're a football fan, tight ends are faster and bigger, and so we have to adjust, and now safeties are changing. It's cat and mouse. The world has gotten fast, and a lot of people in here are marketing slow. Real slow. Because it's always worked. Tried and true. My people aren't in there. And what happens is there's a truth to that until there isn't. Blockbuster was right when they passed on Netflix for $20 million. It wasn't there yet. But I don't know about you. By show of hands, how many people here are planning on retiring in the next 5 years? And I don't mean you're gonna crush it so great that you're gonna retire. I mean you're old and tired and you're retiring. Show me. So for the 9 of you, which I only believe 6 of you, for the 9 or 6 of you, you can tune me out for the next 12 minutes. But for the rest of you, in 5 years from today, with people wearing glasses, with transparency at scale. Listen, I have plenty of understanding collectively for this industry. There was a lot of business done in the shadows and the brand equity. The internet changed that. We are living in a transparent world. You need to adjust your story and your value proposition. It needs to be the same every place you are, every market you're in. Why do you think we have polarization of our candidates for office now? Do you know why the extremes right now in our society? Because when you used to have a candidate run for governor in a state, when he was in the conservative part of the state, he would talk conservative. And when he was in the liberal part of the state, he would talk liberal. But now, because all of us are the media, meaning everybody has a phone and is recording, just like this gentleman is, what we're saying, you can't hide anymore. And so we've had to push to the polarization. Guys, every person in this room, including good old me who prides himself on being on top of this, every person in this room is grossly underestimating the culture shift that we're living in. The internet, forget about social networks. The internet is the single biggest culture shift of humankind. It has connected us and changed everything, and it's done something very fascinating. It is squeezing the middle. The internet is the platform. You don't need to buy a media company anymore. When Eric came and visited me 5 years ago to do the video show, I was doing a wine video show, and we talked about it. I said, Eric, you don't have to buy a TV network. You don't have to buy a printing press. You could just make these videos and put it on Vidler and put it on YouTube. You become the media. The platforms are being defined. Who knows what Airbnb is? Raise your hand. Let's talk about Airbnb, since 89, 90% don't know what it is. It's a company that stands for Air Bed and Breakfast, Airbnb.com. You know what it is? It's eBay for your home. It's people renting out their homes. And it's become a multi-billion-dollar company because if you're like me, now I'm married, I have kids, but earlier in my career, when I was single and I was on the road 150 days a year, it'd be great to rent out my apartment in Manhattan for the prices that people are getting. I have friends who literally are renting out their apartments in Manhattan and staying in hotels for less and making a profit on their rent. Do you know what Airbnb is gonna do to the hotel industry? Change it. When I go to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest this year, I'm staying at an Airbnb, not the W. And so there are many more things that are gonna change. There are far bigger businesses that have been disrupted than yours and mine by this innovation, and it's coming, and it's happening. And the gentleman that talked to you before is part of a group of people that I'm watching very carefully on Twitter and Instagram and other platforms that are generating real actual traction, real actual business, real actual things are happening. You know why? They're talking to people where they actually are instead of where you want them to be, or where you're used to them being, or what you felt comfortable with them being at. And so, what I implore everybody to understand is we are living through a major culture shift. That if you are a business person and you do not download Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram on your phone and create an account, then you're an ostrich putting your head in the sand. You're trying not to understand what's happening. You're becoming everything you make fun of all the other people outside of this world, and you are making a mistake. I implore you to get that account. I implore you to figure it out. I implore you to spend more time on it. I know what you want to do. You're going to throw money at it. You're going to hire somebody to do it. You need to figure it out. Because what's really happening, my friends, what you really need to understand, you know what's really being disrupted? Not video stores, not bookstores, not the music industry because of iTunes. What's being disrupted is human communication. There are grown-ass men in this room who texted OMG and LOL last night. The same men who just 3 years ago went to their teenager and said, hey, little Ricky, I don't care how you talk to your friends, but when your dad calls, pick up the damn phone. Remember that conversation? How'd that work out for you? Little Ricky and Amy weren't so smart, they had technology on their side. Technology doesn't care about you or me or anybody. It's gonna do its thing, and if you decide to fight this wave, you will drown. And so what I really ask you to do, and again, this is not a zero-sum game. I'm not sitting here saying everything you do is dead and you gotta be on Snapchat, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this stuff is emerging. It's happening, right? It's happening in front of your eyes, and you need to start at least tasting it. You need to start at least having some basic understanding. 5 years ago, when I started imploring this thought process, I understood that it was gonna take some time, but here, guys, we're going into 2014. We have 18-year-olds now that don't even know a world pre-internet. They literally don't know the world pre-internet. How many people here remember the world pre-internet? Right. They don't, and their habits are changing. There's a reason Black Friday retail sales were down this year, and Cyber Monday all-time highs. This is a 100% culture shift, habit change in human beings that isn't going back the other way. And I don't want to hear it like, you know what I always feel as well? Oh, this is so sad. We're all, like, I don't want to hear your story about how you go to the restaurant and you see another couple and they're both in their phone and it's so sad. Let me tell you what that couple did 10 years ago at the phone. They just didn't listen to each other. They were in their head. I don't want to hear how it's sad when you go to the subway now and everybody's on their iPad or phone, because I've got a picture that I'm about to put out on a blog post from 1952 where every single person's on the subway reading the paper. Nothing's changing. We're just evolving. And if you don't evolve with it, you get to lose. And that makes me happy as a capitalist. You deserve to lose. You deserve to lose. You deserve to lose if you do not evolve with the market that we actually live in. It is 2014. Get off your ass. Start understanding what's actually happening. Pay attention. Don't think it's silly. And the biggest problem is, do you know why so many people struggle with it? Here's why people struggle with social media. Here's the dirty secret that nobody really wants to talk about. Social media is hard. You know why social media is hard? Because it's human. It's not automated. It's not an email blast list. It's not banner retargeting. It's not tons of ads pounding. It's not right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook. It doesn't reward the rich. It doesn't reward you if you spend $1 billion on Facebook ads if what you put out is crap. It doesn't reward you. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but marketing and conversion is getting harder. We're living through fragmentation. People's eyeballs and attention are in a lot of other places now. I apologize. I'm pissed too. But that doesn't change the fact that it's happening. And so, there's a lot of people that like to talk about empowering their team and their customers and doing the right thing, but they want systems and automation. This stuff is very human. You've got to put in the work. This is exercise. This is exercise. In Jab, 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 Right Hook, I tried to write a blueprint of exactly how to execute storytelling for conversion in this platform. But the truth is, it's all about execution. I know exactly how to get a six-pack on my body. I know exactly how to get a six-pack from an eating habits and an exercise regimen. I don't have one. Don't have it. Don't have it. Don't have it. Don't have it. So I can stand up here for the 23 minutes I've had, and I can pump you up and motivate you, and you're looking at the person next to you and say, maybe we should start taking this seriously. Or the few that I've seen that I've liked a lot, you might be right. Or the other stuff of the people that have been debating this truth. And I can get you pumped and all that. You can go buy the book. You can do all that. But the truth is, if you don't execute, nothing's going to happen. And so I implore you to not only pay attention, but I beg you to understand that you have a chance. Guys, the retention ability. I saw that lovely lady that was two before me talk about, yeah, we talked 2 weeks ago at 2:15. I thought that was really cool. I do that daily in real time on these social networks, and for 15 minutes, I get that same emotional value out of 700 people instead of one. This is scalability. This is somebody goes on your Facebook wall that's part of your network, and you say, hello. Do you know what a wink is worth? I'm being serious. Do you know how nice it feels when you're walking by somebody and they just smile at you or give you a wink? or acknowledge you or a head nod or some daps, it's worth a lot. The ability, I have made millions of dollars at winking at people on Twitter. Because it's not about the wink, it's about the intent. And the intent matters. Because at the end of the day, and listen, I hate to say this, but there's just too many people that are full of crap. They say it. But the bullcrap radars of our consumers and our partners and the world today have gotten dramatically better. Cynicism is at an all-time high. Transparency is exploding. And so I implore you to readjust yourself and your thinking. Understand the world that we're actually living in. Pay attention to the habits of the next generation who need to come into your world for you to have a sustainable business. Pay attention because the rules are changing in a dramatic way. Not because this is the next generation and they're cooler, this and that. It's technology. If the internet came 40 years earlier, that would have been the generation. It's just the technology. It's the ability to stay in touch. It's the fact that when I'm gonna now leave, because I gotta fly home, that when I'm in my car, I'm gonna go to my Twitter stream, and for the 11 people here that actually use Twitter and know my handle, when they say good talk, I'm gonna say thanks. And let me tell you what that thanks is gonna mean. It's gonna mean that they and I are gonna have just a little bit better, a little bit more, a little bit deeper of a relationship. And that's a jab, right? Putting out good content like I do daily, Eric's show, that's a jab. Empowering people, giving them content that values, something that's valuable, whether it's funny or informational, I don't care what it is, a game, I don't care. Curate content from the internet. Say, have you guys read this? Because when I look at a lot of your businesses on these social networks, all I see is a whole lot of right hooking. Got a friend that wants to be part of our network? We've got a 20% offer. Give me this. Me. Help me. What are you, so entitled? You think you got a business? You deserve something? You deserve nothing. What you deserve is what you put in first. You need to jab before you throw a right hook. Pay attention. It's just true, right? It's true. It's true. You all know it, but you're not executing it. Because it's easier just to throw right hooks and land the ones you can get. It's easier, but it's not more fruitful. And that's the fork in the road. If you throw right hook, if you throw that, you'll land some. Some people are just silly, and they just stand around and get punched. But the far majority of people, if you want to land that right hook, you need to throw jab, and set that up. And so that philosophy is being said a whole lot in this room. And by the way, when I say this room, I mean this world. There's no difference between this room or corporate America or startups. Everybody is just a little too selfish. And so I'm telling you, as somebody who runs a marathon instead of a sprint, that when people roll up on me, like this month when I was on the cover of Inc., and everybody's like, oh, Gary, you know, people are so lost. They're like, you're on the cover of Inc., you must be buying the Jets next year. I'm like, I'm gonna buy the Jets in 30 years. And then there's disappointment on their face. I'm like, I'm not trying to play lotto, right? This is a marathon. To build sustainable 100, 200, 500, $1 billion, yeah, there's an Instagram and Facebook. For every Instagram, there's a trillion Insta-sham. You gotta put in the work. You gotta grind. You need to bring value to people. This is an automation. And these platforms have now been created to create an opportunity for you to do that. I highly implore you to take advantage of this shift, this opportunity, this moment, and start putting in the work. And listen, if you wrap up what I just said, this was the least attractive keynote of the day. Hey guys, it's me, Gary. I want you to work a hell of a lot more, get dramatically more educated, what you don't know about, and rinse and repeat until blood is coming out of your eyes, because the hustle is what matters. That's my keynote. That's my keynote. Thank you. But it's very simple, guys. It's like relationships. The best relationships are the ones that you put time into. Your boy from around the way, from back when you were a kid, that's years. All those different struggles and things and jokes, those are the best. I know we're in Vegas, and yeah, one night stands are funny too, and they can be cool, but the best relationships are the ones that you actually put time and effort into. You don't automate. People come up to me, they're like, should I have an auto DM? No, nobody wants to talk to a robot. Actually talk to people, engage, and most of all, start jabbing, put out value. A funny thing happens when you give. A funny, weird, silly thing happens when you give. It's kind of funny. You know what happens? You get. And so, please, suck all the entitlement out of your body. Start putting the work up front to give you a chance to possibly get. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.